Welcome back to another episode of Buckle Up and Ultra Running Conversation. Mandy, you don't look any older.
I feel older because I've been
but
celebrating for like 5 days.
You had a long birthday weekend. I was wondering how long it's going to last. Is it going to last a whole month? Or what are we doing here?
No, we're done.
We're done.
That's it.
Okay. When was your birthday?
Thank you. It was really great. I turned 40.
Woo!
So I've joined the 40 club.
I don't even remember 40. Oh my gosh.
You don't know what you did?
No idea.
So I was born on July 3rd.
Okay.
And my dad even apologized to everyone at my big bash this weekend. And he was like, sorry that we have to go over the top of her birthday. When she was born, we made her feel and think that the fireworks and the barbecues and the parties and everything were all for her. And I remember sometime between 6 and 10, I remember realizing that the fireworks and the thousands of people at the rodeo park in Brush, Colorado were actually not there for me. And I was a little bit devastated. But
seriously,
to true form,
thousands of people in Brush, Colorado? Thousands?
We have 5,000 people and everyone goes to watch the fireworks, Brian.
Okay, all right.
Or they can see them from their house. Because it's so small. But yeah, my family, and then we just grew up having huge parties every birthday because it's the night before the 4th of July. So fast forward, 40 shall be no different. I celebrated my actual birthday was on a Thursday. We hosted packet pickup because I put on a 600-person 5K in Greeley, Colorado. So I did packet pickup at a brewery though, so I could have a couple beers on my birthday. So at a brewery, did packet pickup there. And then I was gifted 2 concert tickets to the Greeley Stampede. If anyone's never heard of the Greeley Stampede, huge rodeo, tons of big acts. Ludacris came this year. Who else came and played? We saw Parker McCollum. We saw
If you're not 40, if you're not 40 and you're listening, Ludacris was a singer back in the 90s. Just as an FYI.
Luda.
In case you don't know, Luda.
Hashtag Luda. We got gifted concert tickets and I invited Nick to come, my husband, and he was like, hard pass. We have to get up and race direct the next morning. No, thank you at all.
Hard pass.
But I really just want to be a 40-year-old who is convinced that she can still hang like she's 25. So I took my my employee Ellie with me, and we went to a concert at the Stampede. And we couldn't get an Uber after the concert was over. And I didn't get home from that concert until 1:00 in the morning, showered, went to bed at 1:30 in the morning.
So we're talking July 4th now.
This is July 3rd, the night of July 3rd.
Well, now it's July 4th at 1 a.m.
You're right. I got home on the 4th.
Okay. Yes.
Point. Took a shower, set my alarm, woke up at 3:30 to go race direct on 2 hours.
2 hours. That's good. Yeah.
It was not fun. 40-year-olds.
We do. That's like the perfect Cocodona 250 training.
That's a good point.
You only get 90 minutes though to sleep at 2 a.m, and then you got to get up and start running again.
I mean, the good point is I wasn't hungover. We did have a couple of drinks, but not a lot. I was just exhausted. We were getting towards the end of the night, and I was like, I just want to go to bed. I'm just so tired. But it was a great time. Put on a 5K in the morning. It was fantastic. It was so much fun. And then hosted a birthday party on the 5th. My family threw me a birthday party, and we had almost 100 people at our house for a big party. So this girl's tired. I'm done celebrating.
I think I saw kayaking in the pool on a video clip on the 5th at your house in the above ground pool. I thought that there was quite a few different activities that were maybe not specific to swimming in that swimming pool.
Kayaks, basketball, paddle boards. We had a bouncy house that the adults enjoyed and the children. A pretty good game of, what's the toss game called? Cornhole.
That kind of toss, yes.
Cornholes. So it was great. And it was a really full weekend. I didn't get a lot of running in, but it was a really good full weekend of all of my family and friends and race directing, which are the things I love most.
That's great. It sounds super full. It sounds exciting. I'm glad you had a good entry into your 40s and kind of lived it all, right? You helped out the community. You put on an event. You participated as a spectator at Ludacris, apparently.
It wasn't.
I'd imagine your feet probably hurt a little bit. It can't be easy to dance in those girl boots for
No.
that many hours.
Yeah, my feet hurt. I was in cowboy boots and then in tennis Hokas. Thank God for Hoka. Comfy shoes the next morning for race directing. But I ran this morning and did a strength workout, and I can feel my feet are not happy with the cowboy boots. And I wore the cowboy boots all weekend. My birthday party. So if you guys follow me on Instagram, go look at the post I did. It was a theme where everyone that came had to dress like their favorite version of me. So that was pretty funny. Sarah, my friend Sarah Robertson, she's run Leadville with me, she nailed it out of the park. She showed up in her Leadville 100 shirt with a race vest on, Run Windsor socks. I mean, she looked just like me. Gooders. And in her running vest, she had a bag of chips and a beer, and then she was eating a piece of pizza the whole party, which is me to a T. So Sarah, congratulations. You won the costume contest. But I wore cowboy boots that night as well.
Well, I'm glad you had a good time. We should probably talk about your diet, though, if chips and pizza and beer are your thing. Maybe not all the time.
Not all the time. Who doesn't love a piece of pizza in the middle of a race?
I am a self-proclaimed pizza connoisseur. I will try new pizza in every town I go to. It's one of those things that I'll do. I'll eat pizza anywhere, anytime. The worst part about it, though, is that no one in my family likes pizza. I know. I'm like, you can't be a Pacenti. My name is Pacenti. It's Italian.
It
like,
basically
how could you
says
not
pizza
like
in it.
It's got pizza, all the letters for pizza in it.
I mean, kind of. P-I...
If you took the S's and reversed them, they're G's.
Pizza. That's really interesting. Not many people don't enjoy pizza.
I'm like, it's sauce and cheese and bread. There's like nothing bad about it.
One time at mile 75 at one of my races, I actually had a cold piece of pizza, and I put a teriyaki rice and chicken protein ball in the middle of the piece of pizza, and I rolled it up and I ate it, and it was one of the best things I've ever eaten.
I've eaten some strained pizza. I actually have a pizza idea that I keep sharing, and everyone says it's a good idea, but no one's really willing to try it. But I think I was trying to incorporate America and Italian, and I was thinking of a Thanksgiving pizza. So you got your bread, your dough, regular pizza dough. So you're out. Never mind. I'll just stop now because you're already out. You're not even listening now. It's got gravy on it with turkey bits and some stuffing, and it's pizza.
No, my assistant over here, she's shaking her head no too. So you have two no votes. Well, yes, maybe we have a listener who's willing to make said pizza and try it and let us know how it is.
I told my local pizzeria, he gave me a no too.
Okay. How was your weekend? You did some camping?
I went camping with the family up on Vega Lake, which is in western Colorado. It's up on the Grand Mesa. Basically, all our kids are similar ages, and there's a big lake. We had paddle boards, and there was a bunch of boys that went fishing. Luckily, I have girls, so I didn't have to play with the fish hooks or anything. And yeah, they had a great time. I got some training in, some decent training. I was using an app to find some trails, but one of the trails was old enough that there's now a private property sign on it, so I wasn't able to use it. So I used a different trail, luckily, but it said the trail was 5 minutes from where I was camping, so I jumped in the truck. I drove the 5 minutes to the trailhead, what I thought was going to be 5 minutes, but I got around the corner, and it was like a full-on jeeping road. It took me 25 minutes to go 2 miles on it. I was rock hopping and driving my pickup truck down this gnarly road, but I got to the trailhead. I wound up getting a decent run in and had a great time with the dog. And we saw some dinosaurs. We saw lots of great views of western Colorado. But I can't remember what kind of bird we saw, but we saw some kind of
dinosaur
weird
tracks. I'm guessing you didn't see a real dinosaur unless I missed some big news.
That was the big bird that I saw
in your stories.
In my stories, that was a giant pterodactyl.
I think it was a mallard duck.
It almost kicked out. And it almost swooped me up. It almost took my dog in me. It was
hallucinating.
What the heck was it? It's crane. It might have been a crane, but what's the other one that lives out here in western Colorado? It nests at all the telephone poles. But
I ran a race up there, and I wonder if you were close to it. The Grand Mesa Ultras.
I've ran that race before as well. I probably ran it before you. I know I did.
That's so.
Because it was 20 years old.
I'm the young person on the podcast. Everything that you did was decades before me.
I ran the 50 miler in 2012 on the Grand Mesa. So we were near there, but farther east on the Grand Mesa.
Okay.
technically like 30 minutes east of that area of the Grand Mesa itself. So there's the town of Grand Mesa, but there's the whole bench of the mesa itself, which is the Grand Mesa. And I
Yeah.
was on the eastern edge of it on Vega Lake. It was a cool
Okay.
place. They had a really nice lodge, Vega Lodge, and it was super relaxed. I mean, I thought maybe the maintenance guy and the bartender were married or some sort of brother sister combination weird thing. Like there was like it was all family related, and we walked in and like they're like, "Oh, Bob will help you," and, so and so will get this for you. And it was like the daughter was the waitress. I mean, it was like super tiny and quaint.
It wasn't like the Goonies. We watched the Goonies yesterday, a little bit of it. They go into that restaurant and like,
No, it wasn't like the Goonies.
okay.
No, not like that. I don't
I'm
think they
glad
had the
I'm
weird
glad you
brother in the
survived.
basement. I don't think they had a weird brother in the basement, but I didn't make it to the basement. So
That the dinosaur.
no, that was a scary bird though. I'll try to put
No,
a picture up of it in here. It was giant bird. This thing was giant. It was a pterodactyl. I
I
mean, it
don't
almost
think
took.
it was, but I'll take your word for it.
Hey, have you ever ran Western States? Do you apply for Western States? Do actively try to get into the Western States Trail 100
Yes.
endurance run?
I did apply. I've used my coin to get in, but it's hard to get in to Western
Your
states. How long does it take?
qualifier.
Yeah, my qualifier. How long does it take to get in on average?
I mean, it's a lottery, so it's actually like a legit lottery. Like they televise it and they
Mhm.
pull a name or they pull a number which is associated to a name on a list and like on a ping pong ball of sorts. Like it's a legit actual lottery, which other races aren't sometimes, which we know of. But so being a lottery, I mean, you could have one lottery ticket and get in on your first shot, and you could
Mhm.
have 64 lottery tickets or 128 lottery tickets and not get in. So it is kind of a crapshoot, but you do have percentages. I think so. Our guest just got in on 8 tickets, and I want to say that's 3 years of applying. So every year your tickets double. So you get 1 ticket, 2 tickets, 4 tickets, 8 tickets. Shea Aquilano applied 4 times and got in on her 8th ticket. And so that's the kind of way that works. I think I'm at 64
You're at
tickets.
64.
I think I was this past year, and potentially I'll be at 128 this coming year. Yeah.
So, according to Google, which we know Google knows everything, first year lottery applicants to Western states have a lofty 0.4% chance of getting in. So,
Almost
those
a 0.5%, almost a half.
almost a half. Yeah. It's a fun lottery to watch. Shea, who we interviewed today, is really new to ultra running and she's done a lot. Her resume is pretty robust, but she's very young in the sport. She's 24 and she shares with us that she was actually in a race when she found out that she got into Western. That would be such a cool way to find out, like, especially if you're having a dumpy run, to be like, okay, now just to revitalize you and get excited about it.
I've heard that on a couple different occasions. I've heard people going out to do a long training run during the lottery, hoping that their phone and watch vibrate and let them know that they got a new email, and hopefully they're excited because of that. Yeah, you're right. She was in a race. She ran Western States for her first time this year. She knocked it out of the park. She was 16th female, 42nd overall. She did 21 hours and 8 minutes, which is super fast on that challenging course. And we talked a lot about her niche space right now, at least on Ultra Sign Up. She didn't really say it directly, but it seemed like she liked the 100K distance currently, but she's got a lot of 100Ks in here. Gosh, there's gorgeous. She's been to Black Canyons 5 times consecutively, Jackson County 100K, the Canyons. There's a bunch of them in here. Seems to be doing well at it. She's also done another 100-miler a couple years ago with the Indiana Trail 100. So we talked a lot about just her progression in sport and how she found herself here.
Yeah, she has joined a couple teams and found mentors along her way to kind of really help support the costs and the travel and the logistics, and I think more even just like the moral support of getting into ultra running and trail. So I think she's a great example to follow as if you're, no matter what age you are, but I think for a young athlete, she's pretty inspiring to kind of go off grid and do something a little different after college versus the traditional path of, go to college, get a job, get married, have kids. It's fun to watch her explore and travel, and she's got plans coming up for some really big adventures that she talks about in our podcast, what the rest of this year looks like for her.
Yeah, she didn't really come from the traditional background of like being the track kid that went to college and ran at school. I think she ran at Notre Dame, but on a club team or just on her own for training. But she did participate on the track team or the cross country team there in those capacities. So just a different trajectory. Always great to talk with athletes in our community. She's making marks in the community. She'll be representing USA at Worlds again in Spain this year. So I think it's somebody worth keeping an eye on and checking in with her occasionally. You'll see her here. Mandy will see her here in October, I believe, for the trail running conference, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, that's where I met her last year at the US Trail Conference. She spoke on one of the panels that was helping to educate us race directors in attendance about like just things that we need to be considering when talking to younger athletes about getting into our races, the barriers that they face, the travel challenges, entry fees, you know, all the things that we don't really think about. Like I feel like when we sign up for races, most of us maybe are a little more established, right? Like you've got a budget for your extracurricular activities and your travel and all of that. But if you think about a young kid that's in college or just coming out of college, like I think back to that time, like we didn't have any money to, you know, until you get your real big person job, like there were no funds to do X, Y, and Z, you know, that's why there's college bar specials and college night pizza nights. Speaking of pizza, you know, so it is an interesting concept to think about that support. Now Brian's going to order pizza for lunch, but I met her there. It was such a joy to meet her and see that demographic being represented. And it sounds like she's coming back this year. So I'm excited to get to hang out with her again.
Yeah, it was a fun episode. Check it out. Follow her on our socials. And without further ado, here's Shea Aquilano. Thanks so much, Shea Aquilano, for coming on the show this afternoon. We really appreciate your time. I know you're fresh off of a big 100-miler, one of the biggest in our country, for sure. And how are you feeling?
I'm good. Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me. Still recovering for sure, but we're getting there.
Yeah, gosh, I mean, we're really just about 7 days out, right? I mean, it was almost a full week ago at this point.
Yes. Yeah, last Saturday.
What race was this? We haven't even said that yet.
I guess I should go there.
Western States 100-miler.
It's a pretty big one.
That's a big one. We know that one. The Western States 100. Yeah, that's on the list of most ultra runners in the world these days.
Yeah, it was a super cool experience, and I'm very lucky to have had the opportunity to race it.
It was your first time, I believe, right?
Yes, my first time, but hopefully we'll be back in the future.
All right. Let's dive into that in just a little bit. But normally on the show, we back up and we kind of start with your history with sport, how you got into this crazy space. Did you grow up running most of your life, or did you not grow up running most of your life? You know, what's the storyline behind how you got to Western States this year?
Yeah, so I didn't grow up running, depending on how you look at it. Most of my sport background all the way through high school was playing soccer, played club, and then also varsity soccer in high school, and then didn't really pick up running until after my last season of soccer ended, my senior year in high school. And then after that was kind of just running for fun. I would join my parents for their morning 3-mile runs. And on the weekends we'd go to a state park that would have a 7-mile trail loop. And yeah, from there kind of really found my place in trail running and started doing that more for fun, especially headed into college. And things just kind of snowballed from there. So yeah, found my community, found my people, and yeah, it took off pretty quickly.
And you grew up in Indiana, correct?
Yes. Yeah. So I grew up in Indiana, but moved to Colorado end of July last year. So I've been here about a year, and it's definitely been amazing in all the best ways.
And was that move driven because of your running career or something else that brought you to Boulder?
Yeah, definitely. If you're familiar with the trail team, led by Andy Wacker. So I connected with them at Worlds in 2023. And basically, there's just a big community of trail runners. A lot of people around my age, also in similar situations, trying to break into the sport. that was a big driver in coming out here. And at that point, I was still looking for work, and yeah, I just kind of packed up, put whatever I could fit in my car, and drove out here, and was like, we'll figure it out. And that's what we did.
And you're a graduate of Notre Dame. How far removed from graduation are we?
Yeah, so I graduated in 2023.
Okay, so it wasn't like you graduated and moved to Colorado. You had a little
No.
downtime
Yeah,
between there.
I
Yeah.
did a short, like 6-month internship in Seattle working as a run perception researcher for Brooks. And then from there, it was kind of like hiring freeze, COVID, everything was still happening. So moved back home to Indiana, and then from Indiana, moved out to Boulder.
And Shea, I feel like my perception, I've been in the, I'm much older than you, and I've been in the sport for quite a few years now, probably 16, 17 years in ultra running specifically. I was in Ironman distance triathlon racing for a decade prior to that, so I've been around for quite a long time. But I feel like it has been in the past like the old man's club or the old person's club, the 30 plus, and it seems like the sport's changing just slightly, and it sounds like the trail running team is also growing. And so what does that look like, the trail running team? And what does it consist of? How many athletes are there? Would you just guess? Give us some rough information about that.
Yeah, so there's a few different categories within the trail team. There's the club team, and then there's the elite team, and then we also have a Boulder contingent, which is primarily a bunch of community members who just need a group to run with. And so the elite team, which I am on this year, has 8 members between the ages of 20 and 30. And those are people that maybe ran cross country or track in college, but are looking to get into the trail scene. I was kind of maybe an outlier because I didn't run in college, but kind of just jumped directly into trail ultra running. But for a lot of people, mostly sub ultra, like that's kind of the trend and direction that they take. But basically, there's not a lot of infrastructure right now to support younger athletes trying to break into trail running. I mean, I guess it's probably different for track and road, but yeah, just figuring out like what races you're supposed to do, like who are you supposed to be talking to, how do you structure your calendar, what are the differences in gear and travel and sponsorship between those two worlds. So the trail team is kind of a way to like be the solution for that space.
Yeah, when we met at the conference, when we just interviewed Terry a couple of weeks ago. And I think, did you talk on a panel at the conference about inclusivity and how us race directors can remove barriers for athletes like yourself getting in? Like, have you seen a lot of support in the team since that conference, or any updates for us? Or do you want to touch on that topic just a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So at least for the trail team, one of the things that they do to help break down some of the barriers for races, like the cost of travel and lodging, is like they will provide housing for major races like Broken Arrow, for instance. So that just kind of cuts down on like some of, if you're in your 20s, like a cost of getting to and actually competing at these races where it is a bigger stage and you do get more visibility, because those are the races that you need to be at if you're trying to break into the sport. But like if you can't even get there, like that's a non-starter. So they do offer lots of resources and mentorship in those realms to help athletes like in my age group.
That's great. What about so you didn't come like a traditional route, like you didn't start at the 5K and go to the 10K and then run a marathon, and not that we all have to do traditional routes to get to where we are, but you just stepped right over all those shorter distances and went to ultra, and now stepped up to the 100-mile distance. I believe this is your second finish at the 100-mile, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, yeah. My first one was Indiana Trail 100-miler back in like 2022, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a very different experience.
Yeah, and did you win it and set a course record, I believe? I think I read that correctly. Yeah. So it's not like you just dabbled in the 100-mile distance. You came out and crushed it. I think you read 16 hours and change, like 16:10 or 16:09 or something right around there.
16:03.
Oh, 3. Okay. It was 16 and change.
So much faster than 16:10, Brian. Come on. Give her the minutes back.
Gosh, I don't even know what I have to do the math, and I shouldn't do math on a podcast, but that's fast.
To be fair, it is a pretty flat course, and it is looped, so you get to see your crew fairly often.
Okay, did you like that format, the looped format, or you think you'd go back to it again, or now that you've seen something different, like the point to point, which one would you prefer maybe?
I think there's definitely merits to both. I wouldn't say I'm like married to any particular course format, but yeah, the point to point is pretty special because you're always seeing new sections and new trail. So it is mentally engaging for sure.
Yeah, so a lot of shorter distance. I mean, even though you've only done a couple of these hundreds, but you have a lot of experience now. I mean, if you're looking at your ultra sign up, you've built up that resume. So with all those different distances and now you've just completed Western States, like, do you have a favorite? Is there a sweet spot that is your favorite to train for and to run?
That's so hard because they're all so different just in the ways you approach them. But I mean, I think just in the past few years, like I've done a lot of 100Ks. Like that's been a big one that I've trained for, but I am still very curious about the 100-mile distance. And it is a distance that I'd like to get better at and race more at and see what else I can do. So I don't think I've quite like totally nailed one, at least on like a more competitive stage. So yeah, that's still like a piece I'm curious about figuring out.
And Shea, it looks like, gosh, I think you were like the last 5 years in a row at Black Canyon 100K, if I'm not mistaken. And
Yeah,
what's the
that's
lure?
correct.
What's the lure to that one? What specifically is drawing you back, and why should I go do it next year?
Yeah,
And
so that was
Mandy, why should we go do it?
It's been on
you
my
guys
list.
totally should. That was the very first 100K I ever did, and it was recommended to me by a mentor in the sport, Brad Baumgartner. I have family that lives in Phoenix area, so it was super convenient to be able to stay with them and visit while also getting to race. And then that race has just become more and more competitive over the years. It's definitely like one you want to be at if you want to race the best in the sport, and that's how you get better as an athlete. And it's super cool to be able to run with so many amazing other ladies. And it's just like the Aravaipa does a great job putting it on, so would highly recommend.
Yeah, Aravaipa, obviously very well known in the space, does an incredible job. I don't know if Mandy could run it next year though, because she's on a wait list for a different Aravaipa race, pretty close to that one.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yes, hopefully we get in.
That's
Which one are
the
you trying
Cocodona
to run?
Cocodona 250.
Oh my gosh, good for you. That's amazing.
I'm on the list. And Brian, in fact, I think this morning I got an email as one of his athletes. So Brian's a coach, if you didn't know that. And I got an email that he sent out apparently to all of his athletes. And so I think that's his gentle nudge of you have to start running.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm going to start training as if I'm in.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
probably
you have to. You
Yeah.
have to.
I have to.
You can't just wait
No.
to get in and then
No. Well, that's how the
hope
wait
for the
that's how
best.
those wait lists work, right? Is
No,
people wait
that's
to
not
get
how that
in, and then
works.
as soon as you get in, you're like, never mind, I haven't been training. So we're going to do the opposite strategy and actually start training.
Well, it's the same way for the Western States wait list. Like people get in the week of the day before, basically. So you have to be ready to go.
Yeah, tell us about your Western States journey. Like, when did that become something you wanted to do?
Yeah, so it's actually ever since I started ultra running and like I was learning more about the sport. Like that was one of the first races I heard about, and it's been on my radar for the past 5 years. And so, yeah, definitely been a big dream as long as I can remember to be able to race it. So I actually found out I got in through the lottery while running a race in December, which was the same day as like the lottery drawings. So my crew wasn't going to tell me at all. They weren't going to mention it until after I finished. But I happened to have my phone on me, and like I got a text that popped up on my watch, and it just said "States" in all caps, exclamation marks. I'm like, I think I know what that means. But yeah, so that made the rest of race day like super fun, hollering at the trees like I'm going to States.
Shea, was that your first lottery bid this year?
Yeah, so I had 8 tickets in the lottery, so probably I think it was less than like a 3 or 4% chance of getting in, but I had definitely been putting my name in the past like 4 years.
So you got in, you're running this race. It probably took you a little bit out of the moment, but in a good way, right?
Yes.
And so what did your training look like from that point, from finishing whatever race you were in to the starting line of States last week?
Yeah, so that race was Jackson County 100K in Indiana. And then from there, kind of pivoted into training for Black Canyon, which I ran in February, and then Gorge Waterfalls 100K, which was in April. And it kind of worked out that both of those races are still pretty runnable and similar enough in terms of the course profile and terrain that they kind of built on one another in my training up for Western States. So used those as building blocks while also like getting good race reps in and dialing in like more of my nutrition and stuff. And then started working more after Gorge towards like the very specific training requirements of Western States, like heat acclimation, cooling strategies, and then the feet per mile in terms of climbing and descent over the course.
Did you ever get out to the course to pre-scout some sections of it or anything at all by chance?
Never had the opportunity to get out there, but tried to mimic it as best I could in Boulder, which is like pretty easy to do. We got a lot of good trails out here, so
You got
yeah,
a couple. There's a couple.
just a couple. Yeah, compared to when I was in Indiana, this is like a playground. So super cool.
And so you showed up to States. What does it look like race week or pre-week? You know, who's there for you? What's your crew look like? And what kind of strategy did you go in with?
Yeah, so I had an all-star crew. Absolutely, they are the best. Race week, I got there on Wednesday and had my mom with me, had family friends, Brad and two friends, son-in-laws, Austin and Mitchell. My coach was there, Ryan Anderson. Had some of my best friends from college, Kinsey and Simon, and then another friend, Randy Elliott, and then also like my dietitian that I work with. Also got to meet up with her and go through my race plan. Yeah, and my agent Kelly, who you've spoken with before. So basically an all-star crew, and very, very lucky and grateful to have had so many wonderful humans in my corner.
Yeah, what are your college friends and your family? I always love asking like what your mom thinks about this, and she mentioned she's out there with you.
Yeah. Well, she's been at basically all of my races to date, which is pretty incredible. So she's a race veteran at this point. She knows what she's doing. She's seen it all before, the good and the bad. So yeah, she's one of my crew captains, and it's always great to have her there.
You mentioned that you got into running by running 3-4 miles during the week and going to a state park on the weekends with your parents. Do they still actively run, or have you re-inspired them to maybe go a little bit farther to the 10K and half marathon distances or anything?
So they've both run marathons in the past.
Oh, okay.
And do still run currently. Trying to convince my mom to sign up for a 50K. We'll see how that goes. I think we'll get her there at some point. But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
they're
That's
still
awesome.
active.
That's great.
So they don't spend a lot of time on trails then, it sounds like.
My mom will go out on weekends and do like 16 miles, 17 miles. So she's amazing. Yes, they do still run trails, but it's limited by access to where they live.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense, yeah.
All right, it's race morning in Squaw Valley. Butterflies, nerves. Are you just soaking in the moment? What's it like for you at the starting line?
Yeah, definitely nerves. But just kind of like trying to stay in my lane and not let all the people and commotion get to me. Yeah, I think anyone who says that they aren't nervous at a 100-mile start line is probably lying. Yeah, it's a long day, and you just have all of that waiting in ahead of you. It's hard not to start thinking ahead, but you got to stay present. And once the gun goes off, it's totally fine. Like once you start running, it's just you're in it.
Yeah, a bit of that nerves is like the respect of the distance, right? And the respect for how far you're going to travel and the next however many hours it's going to take you to get there. And I think that's understandable, but nothing too crazy other than that. And you start out at Squaw Valley. Gosh, I think it's a 6-mile climb. I haven't been on the course myself, but it's a really long climb right out of the gun. How did that go for you? Was it cold? Was it warm?
Yeah,
I thought there was a lot of snow. I thought I saw.
It's like a 3.5-4 mile climb.
Okay.
But it is mostly runnable terrain minus a few steeper sections. But yeah, you got to make sure you don't get carried away with the start line excitement. Thought I went pretty well. I mean, it's hard to gauge effort levels in those first few miles, but you gotta remember to be patient. But once you crest to the top of the escarpment, there's like tunnel of people, there's cheering, there's people taking photos. It's absolutely incredible. Yeah, definitely a great way to start the day. And you see the sunrise coming up over Olympic Valley.
You get up over the escarpment. How's the rest of your day look until midday or so? How are you feeling? How are you pacing? Is everything on track still? Are you throwing the plan away? Or are you sticking to it, or where are you at with it?
Yeah, so I kind of had split check-ins through, let's say, dusty corners. So just to make sure I wasn't going out too fast and then maybe too slow, but I ended up being like right kind of where I needed to be, maybe at the top end of where my splits were. Like I was like 0 to 5 minutes off of what I had anticipated, basically through, I want to say, Rucky Chucky crossing. But yeah, the cooling strategies worked great. Was taking ice at every aid station, and Nike made us a cool cooling top, which I call my disco rave top because it has holes in it, if you've seen any of those photos. But that worked great. It kept me cool and never felt like I was overheating.
Yeah, that shirt has made quite a bit of memes and some presence on social media. It's quite funny and entertaining at this point. So their strategy
Yeah.
worked.
It looks a little goofy, but can confirm it actually works. And no one was required to wear it. Every single one of their athletes actively chose to wear it. So I think that speaks to its effectiveness.
Were you able to try it in training prior to the event itself?
Yes. Yeah. And that's why I'm like, I'm definitely wearing this. Like, this is a game changer.
Were you able to stay within yourself and your own race? It sounds like you were within just a little margin of your splits, but you didn't get wrapped up in like somebody's passing you or you want to catch this person or stay ahead of that person. Were you just able to stay inside of yourself and run your race for the day?
I'd say yes. I did get the chance to run with some other athletes like Keely Henninger a lot through the canyon section, but always made sure to make sure I was within my own effort level. And I think I did a pretty good job of that. It is hard when there's so much excitement going on around you and like the aid stations are chaotic and but yes, yeah, I think I stayed within myself for the most part.
Yeah, what was your take on the aid stations? And like, I think I read an article that you chimed in and you really loved the local small races and that feeling. This is quite different because there's so much chaos in the media and the hype and everything going around, on socials. What was that experience like for you? Did you like the hype? Did you like the wild aid stations?
Yeah, so I think it's just different. I think there is also a lot of crossover though. Volunteers at ultra running events are just amazing, and it was no different at Western States. Like they are there to help you whatever you need, and cannot thank all the volunteers enough for all their help on race day for sure. And it is a slightly different experience because there's a lot more media attention. But I guess, at least for me, when I'm racing, you're kind of just in the zone, blinders on, and you don't maybe notice a lot of that. Or most people are good about not like interfering with your race if they are doing media.
Does it compare to like the trail world championships that you participated in 2022 on that same stage, or is it just different?
I think it's just different. A lot of that race was pretty remote, so I would say media was pretty confined to only a few specific areas or aid stations. And then you wouldn't see a lot of people for bigger stretches. But yes, in terms of like media exposure, I'd say it's maybe on a similar level, although the hype around Western States definitely has its own kind of magic to it.
And Shea, what was the final outcome of Western States? Like, where did you finish where you wanted to? I think it was 21 hours and some change again.
Yeah.
Yeah, 21
So
hours, 8 minutes maybe.
Yeah, 21 hours, 8 minutes. Ended up finishing 16th place. Was definitely hoping for a top 10, but the wheels kind of fell off around mile 85, and I walked the final 15 miles to Auburn. I think a big part of that was just my quads blew up from all the downhill, so definitely a piece I need to work on going forward, but had a lot of positive takeaways and definitely fuels the fire to want to come back and have another go at it.
That was going to be my next question. Is this going to be now on the list of keep trying to get back in? And
100%, yeah.
Jay, what was one of your struggles in Western States as far as like a rough spot, and how did you deal with it, and how did you work through it?
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of things that went really well. Like I didn't have stomach issues, and I didn't have any problems with the heat, even though it got up to 100 degrees. I think the biggest thing was just like my quads, the muscles. So yeah, when those started to go, you just gotta flip your mentality and be like, all right, we're in it. We still got time. Like quitting's never an option. Like there's people that are going to be out there for 30 hours. And like, if I can still keep moving, like I'm going to keep going.
Yeah, so you said top 10 was kind of in the hopes as soon as you realized that maybe that was not happening. Does that deflate you a lot, or are you still just in that mindset of just going to keep going? There's no give up, even though maybe that goal has gone out the window.
Yeah, I mean, in the moment when you like actively see your goal like slipping through your fingers, it is a little deflating, but like at the end of the day, like you never know what's going to happen in a race, and you have to be prepared for any situation or scenario. So it's like, all right, we pivot, we keep going, we're going to get there no matter what. Like a finish is a finish. So yeah, still very grateful to have finished that course on a day that was tough for a lot of people.
Yeah, and I liked your shout out to the back of the packers, like having that realization, I'm a back of the packer. So we always love when we know, like, it's so funny when you're out there and you're 30 hours, 29 hours into 100 to think like other people have finished 5-10 hours faster than you. But I think like it's such a cool mindset for anyone that's out on the course, like to be able to think about there's someone that's so many hours and miles ahead of me, but also there's other people that are so many hours and miles back behind me, and kind of that community to keep you going and hopefully keep everyone just focused on having their day and doing their best, and knowing that, like you said, the wheels could fall off the bus for anybody at any given point, or someone could turn on their turbos and catch up to you.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of why we do it, right? Don't know what's going to happen, so you got to race to figure it out.
So you talked a little bit about the struggles about your quads. What is one of the highlights that you're taking away from the previous weekend? And if you don't mind sharing that with us.
Yeah, I think just the added experience of racing in such a competitive environment, and the knowledge that I like put myself in it, and I'd like to continue to build upon that moving forward, I think was an invaluable takeaway.
I'm going to ask a futuristic question. Now that you've done this and you've added another 100 to your resume, where do you see yourself in this sport? You're such a young age by entering, so we've got lots of time to dream here. But where do you see yourself in 5 and 10 years?
Oh gosh, I mean, obviously, I hope to still be doing the sport and loving what I do. I think that's the most important part, is keeping the joy for it first and foremost. Like that's the most important part. Everything else is icing on the cake. Yeah.
And longer distances? Are you intrigued by the 200, the 300s?
I've been asked this before, and I'll say never, but like right now I still want to nail that 100-mile first. Maybe down the road. We'll see.
Gosh, at the rate we're going, at the rate that the community of ultra running is growing, that by the time you get to a 200, there'll be a 400 and so on and so forth.
Really?
Right? I mean, it'll
seems
just
to be that way.
it's exponentially grow quicker than we can keep up with it.
It's super cool.
Shea, in 2019, Jim Walmsley took a wrong turn and did not win the race that year. I don't know if you guys remember this.
Mm-hmm.
But it reminded me a little bit when I was looking back in your ultra history that you may have missed a wrong turn at Run Rabbit Run. I believe it was last year, if not 23. I think it was 24, if I'm not mistaken. What can you talk a little bit about that? And the final thought in that is, did you put the GPX file in your phone or your watch for this race this year?
Yes, I did. I missed a turn at Run Rabbit Run last year. It was like the middle of the night. I got to one of the aid stations, was directed out one way, and ended up missing like a couple miles of the course, unfortunately, and did not realize until got to the finish and was comparing GPX files. And I'm like, oh, that was not, like, this looks different. Was DQ'd from that race, rightfully so. But
so you came up short in distance as opposed to going longer?
Yes. Yeah. Well, it ended up being about the same because I did like a different like trail route, but
it's just not the route.
Yeah, sure. Not the right route. So yes, very, very good learning lesson. Did not actually have the GPX on my watch for Western states, but you do have the ability to have pacers from Forest Hill to the finish. Mm-hmm. So I kind of just relied on them for navigation, but that course is extremely well marked, and I feel like you're usually within eyesight of someone else.
I don't know how Jim missed it in 2019, but anyway.
Yeah, it happens. But Run Rabbit Run was definitely a tough result to swallow, but had some other ladies reach out saying they did the same thing, but
and you were in you were in the mix. You were like in there, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I would have finished third or fourth, depending on how you look at it, probably. But yeah. It happens.
Will you go back to Run Rabbit Run as well?
I think so at some point. It is a tough
Hmm.
time of the year because it does fall like pretty close to Worlds or like UTMB races or other races in the fall.
Hmm.
But I do think I would go back and race it again because that is a very cool race and location.
Yeah, you've only got a handful of DNFs on here, and obviously we know one takeaway that you just gave us was the maps and understanding the course, which you can't always control. Sometimes you just get lost, a wrong turn happens. But any other big takeaways from the very few amount of times that the race didn't succeed in a actual finish?
I think you just can't like linger on them too long. You have to
Mm-hmm.
take all that experience and like use that moving forward. Like I feel like we probably learn more from the races that didn't go well than the ones that do. So, yeah, I think just applying that and building resiliency moving forward is really important.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier you didn't have any GI issues at this race. Has that been something that's impacted you in the past? And what's your strategy? Like, what have you overcome there?
Yeah, so like usually in the past, I've had issues until probably this year, maybe a few months last year, when I started working with Kylie Van Horn, my sports dietitian. And I think a lot of that has to do with figuring out, like, okay, what products work for me, knowing that my sodium sweat loss is fairly high. I think I previously had been way under salting during races, and that impacted my GI system over the course of the day. Yeah, and just figuring out like my hydration needs and all those little pieces, they come together as you work on them during training. And I think it's important to practice that as well in longer training runs. So that's been a big part of my lead up this year. It's been figuring that out. And I think maybe it's not perfect yet, but it's definitely loads better than it has been.
Getting better. What are your favorite products? What are your
Yeah,
go-tos?
so I use precision tablets in my bottles because I'm fairly salty sweater. Also use Goo-Roctane for liquid carbs, and then a variety of gels like Amex, First Endurance, and Science and Sport.
I also read that you're a plant-based athlete. And how long have you been plant-based in this space?
Yeah, so I've been vegan now for 6 years.
Okay.
So, yeah, at this point, like it's second nature. I don't
It's
know.
not new though. It's not a change that has helped you go from good to better in the most recent years, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like whenever you pursue like a plant-based diet, there's probably a steep learning curve. And there was like the first few years that I was doing it. But now I feel like I've mostly settled into what works for me and like knowing all the things I need to get every day or every week to be like a sustainable athlete.
Shay, where I know you're fresh off this finish, and congrats. It's obviously a very popular race that we all want to get into, and I know you're resting and recovering from it. Where do you go next, though, and what does the rest of your season look like for this year and potentially 2026 as well?
Yeah, so I'm pretty excited for the rest of my year actually because end of August, I'll be racing OCC, Chamonix. And I was originally planning to do CCC, but I dropped down in distance after I made the world's team for the World Mountain and Trail Running Champs in September. So after OCC, end of September, I'll be running the long trail course, which is about 80K and 1,000 feet of climbing in Confranc, Spain. So those are my next two races, and then actually just signed up for JFK 50 miler in November as well.
And Washington D.C. or just outside of Washington D.C., I believe, for JFK, correct?
Yes.
Excellent.
That
That's
sounds like a
really
good
busy.
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds busy, but it also seems like it's spaced out and thought through. So all the best with that. We will keep
Thank you.
tabs on you for sure.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, any advice you'd give to anyone else out there that's coming straight out of college and thinking like this is such an unconventional route to go, it's becoming more popular now, but any advice to anyone that's considering maybe doing it but is afraid of the barriers, the hurdles, and maybe what other
Yeah,
people might think if they go this very different route?
I would say just cultivate your why and like the joy that the sport brings you first and foremost. I think everything else builds upon that. Like if you're not doing it for the right reasons, it's probably not going to pan out in the way you expect it to. But yeah, just like making sure you enjoy what you do and leaning into that and things will have a way of working out.
That's such good advice for anything in life, right? Just understanding your why. Like, why are you doing the things you're doing? Why are you spending time with people you spend time with, your hobbies, your work? everything. So I think that's good wisdom to have. And then can I ask you, what's your why? I don't know that we've really heard that from you yet.
I think it's a myriad of different things. I think a big component of it is the people in the community. I've got a lot of great people on my team and who I'm lucky to have met through this sport and been connected to. And then, yeah, running is just like, it's the best feeling ever. I don't think there's anything that matches the type of freedom and growth that you can experience through ultra running. Yeah, there's not many times else in your life where you can challenge yourself in the same way and know like, oh, you can encounter obstacles, but you can come out on the other side stronger. So I think, yeah, just the growth that you can see as a human and as an athlete, and then the people that you surround yourself with is a big component.
I love that. I know Brian and I agree. Like we talk about this a lot. It's just always fun to hear other perspectives and other stories. But at the end of the day, it's such a cool community and different struggles across the board, different successes. But yeah, thank you for sharing all of yours with us and getting to know you a little bit more. It was awesome. Excited to see you at the conference again. I keep nudging Brian that he should just come because it's just full of such cool people, and
You should.
He's got a busy schedule.
I do have a busy schedule. I just took on a high school cross-country coaching position here locally in Western Colorado, and I'm super pumped. Today was actually the first morning of cross-country practice.
Oh, congratulations.
Thanks. But I think I don't know if it's going to fit in the schedule. I need to figure that out. But yeah, I'd love to meet you and Terry, who we've had on the show in the past, at the conference. It sounds like a great community, another small aspect of our overarching great community of ultra runners. So
maybe you guys will run into each other. We'll all head up a trail in Boulder because we're all in Colorado. So we're not that far away from one another.
Oh, we got to go to Boulder. I was actually thinking we could go like crew for you in Spain or something like that.
That would be much better.
I mean, that's probably a little more up my alley. I don't know. I've been to Boulder a few times.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, both. All the above.
Spain sounds amazing.
Well, Shea, we'll let you get back to rest and recovery. We'll keep tabs on you. Where could our listeners catch up to you at? What's your mode of social media?
Yeah, so I'm mostly just on Instagram, and you can find me at Shea, SHEA_AQ. And that's, my main social platform.
Yeah, all of our followers need to go there and check out her post. There is a picture of the shirt that has gone viral. You've been a part of that movement as well. So I might get myself one of those.
The disco rave tops. Yeah, I don't know if they're out or coming out, but
they've got
they're really fun.
Yeah.
They'll be for sale on the black market soon enough. Somebody will sell it.
That could be how they fund.
Shea, thank you again so much.
And it should just start selling it, auctioning them off.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We appreciate it. It was really fun to hear your story and share, and we'll be sure to keep tabs on you and check in again soon.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.